Do you feel frustrated when God says no to your prayers? What would it feel like to have the confidence in His decision when He does say no? My name is Tshanina Peterson, and in this Day in the Life video, we're going to dive into that and much more.
No, Dalton, don't touch that. No was a word that had become part of my vocabulary now that my son had become a toddler. He was into just about everything, so I had to keep my eyes and ears open to make sure he didn't get into something he shouldn't. If you're a mom, I know you can totally relate. As I continued tying my shoes so that we could take our walk, he reached for the cord again. He was standing just a few feet away from me in my bathroom, and the cord he was pulling was connected to a hairdryer on the counter above him, which he couldn't see. Just as he reached for the cord a second time, I finished tying my shoe and was able to get to him before he tugged on it hard enough to pull the hairdryer down onto his head. As we made our way outside for our walk, it hit me. How many times has the Lord said no to me in my prayers, and I'd get upset because I didn't understand? If I'm being honest, it's probably been countless times. The twists and turns of my life are like the cord that Dalton was pulling. And just like Dalton couldn't see the hairdryer on the counter, I too can't see the dangers or circumstances that are ahead of me on this journey of life. I get upset when the Lord says no to my prayers because that's a path I want to take. Why can't I do that, Lord? Why can't I have that or be that? It is so hard when God says no to our prayers, and it's especially hard when we feel like the thing we're praying for was His will. So why does God say no to our prayers? Friend, I think Jeremiah 29:11 clearly tells us why. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Even though we can't see it, the Lord sees the bigger picture, the masterpiece of your life. He's weaving it together as a beautiful tapestry. So let me tell you about a time when God said no to my prayer and how hard it was. It was months before it was time to start thinking about kindergarten and school for our son. My husband and I had prayed for the Lord's direction, and we felt for certain that we had a plan in place. We had made a list of the top 3 schools where we felt the Lord leading us, so we began to move forward. The first school on our list was a magnet school where he had to be tested, and I was so hopeful that this was the place for him. But my hopes were crashed when we received a letter that he didn't make it in. Then after touring school number 2 on our list, we learned that their classes were already full for the school year. As you can imagine, I was devastated when the doors for the first 2 schools on the list were slammed shut. I thought for sure he was supposed to be at one of those 2. I questioned the Lord, and I truly didn't understand why He would have put those places on our hearts if that's not where our son needed to be. It wasn't until a few years later until I learned why the Lord didn't want us at that first school on my list. Friend, we don't always get the reason why God says no to our prayers, but it was like an aha moment when that happened. After that aha moment, my eyes were opened, and I was so grateful that He had closed the door to school number 1. It was hard at the time, but I realized that the Lord truly did have our best interest at heart, and He worked it out for His good. So what do you do when God says no to your prayers? You trust. Now, I know that sounds cliche, but I say that from the bottom of my heart. Trust that He knows what He's doing, and He has a purpose for saying no. It may not feel like the Lord knows what He's doing and that He has your best interest at heart when He says no to your prayers. I have felt that way too, but I promise that He does. You can rest assured that He has a plan. He hasn't forgotten about you, friend. He sees what you're going through. And in fact, He's right there with you every step of the journey of your life. I encourage you to do your best to trust Him and wait for His timing. If He's trustworthy with your eternity, then you can definitely trust Him with the day-to-day circumstances of your life.